Oh, there we go. And it's 9 a.m. Wonderful time. Okay, I'd like to call the Central Board of Architectural Review to order for August 19th, 2022. Are there any members of the public, either in attendance at the Zoom meeting or in person, who would like to speak about something that is not on today's agenda?
Not seeing any hands.
Me either. And there's nobody here. So let's go to the agenda status report.
I have nothing for the agenda status report.
Can everybody who's on Zoom, can you hear Jonathan?
Yes.
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 Just making sure our sound is good because we had a little issue with it last time. Okay, the minutes of July 15th. Oh, you've got it set up. There we go. Thank you. Okay. I had two comments. Item number 6 did not have an action. It didn't have an action. It doesn't say project received conceptual review only. No action was taken, project to return for whatever it is. Do you remember what it was, David?
I can double check that.
Okay.
It's in my notes, like, so I can just add it.
Okay, you can add it. I'm okay with that. And the last thing I had was we adjourned at 2:40, not 1:40. Sorry. Yeah, because somebody had a 2:30 appointment and we got out 10 minutes late. Trust me, I was very cognizant of 2:30. Anybody else have anything else?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yes, I wasn't at this meeting, but I did, I know that there were 3 of us absent.
It's only, the reason that it says just you and Cock is because they don't typically, that would have made a full board, that's the full board members. They don't typically, at the top of it, where it says people or who are present, let me scroll to the top here. See, it lists Lowell there.
Right, that Lowell was absent.
Yeah.
But, so you're just saying because of quorum or something like that?
No, it's because of alternate versus
Oh,
full board.
right, okay. All right.
Anybody else have any other comments? Can we,
I do.
yes,
Item number 2, West Coast Farms. Number 6. At the very end, it says board will want dark sky compliant lighting. I would put that before the second to the last sentence. Just so that it's with the
the lighting.
lighting.
Anything else?
And then the next one, 7, delete the word please.
Okay,
And that's it for me.
okay, scroll the minute. Ellen, did you have any comments on the minute?
You guys covered it.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes, what was it, July 15th? Yes, July 15th, 2022, as amended. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Alan. All in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
Yep, you have 2 abstentions. They got to it before I could. Okay, so, let's close that. And so, we did the minutes, informational briefings. I don't have anything at this point. Does anybody have anything? Okay, member recusals. I'm recusing myself from, I believe, item number 7. Are there any other recusals? Okay, staff update, Nicole?
We're promoting her right now.
Oh, okay. So as soon as Nicole's been promoted.
Hello.
Hey, Nicole. You have to unmute, Nicole.
Okay, can you guys hear me now? Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, good morning, everybody. So let's see, coming up in the next few months, the County Planning Commission on, let's see if any of these are in, I'm just looking at ones in your area, see if there's anything you'd be interested in. There's a lot of cannabis cultivation appeals coming up, but I don't think you guys are probably interested in those. So probably aside from that, coming up on November 2nd, it's a little ways out, is the Highway 101 widening through the Montecito area. It's not in the C-bar jurisdiction, but it is a regional project. So that'll be going on November 2nd, actually. And then on September 28th, there's an appeal of a detached garage project, Cedars Detached Garage from the Solvang area. That's really everything that would be of interest in your particular area or regionally. Thank you.
Is the detached garage one of the projects we saw? I'm assuming it is.
I can look that up if you'd like.
Yeah, because
And
it's
get back to you.
not everything comes to us. So
Right.
Yeah.
This one,
But I would like
this
to
one
know.
may not have. I'll look it up. But that's what I have for today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Reconsider the circumstances of the COVID-19 state of emergency, reconsider them, consider whether state or local officials continue to impose or recommend measures to promote social distancing, find that the C-bar has reconsidered the circumstances, and direct staff to notice and hold remote hearings consistent with government code. Now, the last time it was Alan and Robin and I don't know if you guys changed your mind. You're still of the same mind, we should meet in person? I am. Yep. And you, yep. Al.
Yeah.
You too?
I'll go with the group.
Okay, so we're gonna take no action on this. The consent agenda, C1, 20 bar 187 El Capitan Ranch, beach improvements. All right. Do we have somebody here for this item, or if there's nobody here, if you want me to just run through it, I can run through it fairly quickly.
Angel Key is here.
Okay, are you comfortable with me going ahead and just going through them?
Sure.
Yes, I am comfortable. I will be here to, excuse me, respond to any questions.
Okay, so I think our comments were due to an issue with uploading the final plans to the box account to be available for public review. The board is granting preliminary approval based on the plans presented today. Final on consent at next hearing with detailed plans to be updated prior to final approval. Applicant to show details of light fixtures to confirm dark sky compliance, including 2700 Kelvin lamps. So this is the condensed set. We didn't have any comments on the building. I think Oh. Sorry. Okay. Now everybody can see it. Okay, so the light fixtures are here, here, here. There's 4 recessed in the canopy, 1 here, 1 beside that door, 1 there, and 1 on the end, which I don't think is a change from last time. And they're shown in the elevations. That's item number 9 right there. There's 1 there. You can see 3 on this side. This is the landscape plan. Irrigation. This is their color board, I think, same as last time. This is helpful at a touch screen. They took my touch screen away.
This is the lighting schedule and identifies the product.
Yes. Wall pack, 1900 lumens, 3000 K color temperature, which is within the allowable. We like 2700 to 3000. Exterior wall pack, and then it lists everything else. And I think, a little bit, I think it's, the detail is right here. I spent some time yesterday going over the plan. So this is the detail. And just on the, you guys are not going to be back to us, but it would have been helpful if this had identified that the lamp was recessed and that this was a solid, because you can't tell whether it's glass or not. But I did look at your, there, right there. So it shows it. So it is solid. We also have a, this is the condensed set. There is a 99-page or 100-page set with details, and basically it has all of that except for the color boards. And I went through it yesterday. Does anybody want me to thumb through 113 pages, or you take my word for it?
Okay. Thank you for doing that.
I thought you guys would like the smaller to the point set, so.
Yes, it was very helpful. There are, I will say that there are a couple of sheets in this set that didn't quite make it in, or I didn't see it in the other one. So just double check you've got the same sheets in the set. It was the landscape, I think. So, okay, this is the only consent agenda item. I would entertain a motion.
Oh, do we have to call public comment?
I'm sorry. I'm just in a speed mode. Do we have any public comment today for this item?
See none.
Just to be emphatic, you need to raise your hand.
Yes, raise your hand if you like to make a public comment on this item.
And then David was also, you had the quick for, if you're calling in on your phone,
Star
*9.
9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute.
Okay. All right, nothing else? Any other comment? I don't hear anything. All right, so now I will entertain a motion. Thank you, Jonathan.
Second.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Alan seconded.
Madam Chair, question.
Yes,
I was not at the last.
you can vote to approve the consent
can?
agenda. Yes, you can,
Right, that was my question. Thank you.
because it's usually done as one thing.
Yes, and I have reviewed it in the past. It's just done this last time.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No abstentions. All right. Thank you very much, folks. You guys have a great day.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Okay, so item number 1 on the standard agenda, 22 bar 121, Santa Barbara West Coast Farms Process Building. Do we have someone here for this?
Yes. Hi, Kayvon Bagby here on behalf of West Coast Farms, and I believe we have Aaron Carroll, our landscape architect, as well as Tom Taylor, our architect as well.
Okay, well, why don't all you guys go ahead and get ready, and I will go ahead and read the comments from last time, and then you can do your presentation, then we'll call for public comment. After we see if there's any questions from the board, and then we'll return for comments from the board. Okay, the building is substantially taller and bigger than what was previously approved. This is a massive structure, whereas the prior approved building was broken up into smaller structures. The building needs to be designed so that it fits the site without relying on landscaping. It needs to comply with requirements on its own merits. A site visit with story poles is required. Story pole plan should include perimeter corners and ridge lines. Substantial concern about the development moving into closer proximity to Highway 246. Previous project went through several iterations to achieve adequate setback from highway towards 6 viewsheds. Concerned about light transmission from both the north and south elevations where extensive glazing occurs. Show locations of all security lighting required by other agencies, as well as any other lighting proposed. Board will want dark sky compliant lighting. Show any other security requirements such as fencing. Please depict on the plans where the construction trailer will be, depict on the plans where the construction trailer will be located. Support the use of native and endemic plants as much as possible. All right. You want to do your presentation? I think I have it all.
Yes. Hi. Good morning. I believe does Aaron and Tom, are they able to speak and hear this?
Yeah, Aaron should be able to unmute. I see he's raised his hand.
There we
Two
go.
participants that have raised their hand.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I guess we'll start with landscape first. I think Tom is on, or he's trying to sign on right now.
Okay.
So as far as the site plan is concerned, the major change is that the parking lot was reduced in size. Since the building reduced in square footage, we don't need as many parking spaces now. The landscape design is pretty much similar to what we last saw. We do have a generous amount of native plants on our plant palette, but we do still have some non-native plants. We'd like to have the flexibility to do both native and non-native plants. So the circulation's pretty much the same. The driveway, parking lot was just reduced. We still have the employee patio in the back. Parking lot trees, we've got a generous amount of coast live oaks and valley oaks proposed, as well as olive trees, pistache trees, sycamore, and then the plant list is sorry.
Yeah, I would encourage you to not choose the cottonwood. It's quite an allergen.
Okay.
Having lived in Buellton and lived through several cottonwood blooms.
Yeah, they're that's on the list mainly because we're on the river and there's
Yep.
Yeah.
Got it, but that's just personal feedback.
Sure.
Okay, so do we want to go to, does that conclude your presentation?
Yeah, basically we've just kind of shrunk the site plan, and the landscaping has remained, the design of the landscaping has remained the same as last time.
Okay. All right, do we have the architect on?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Lovely, thank you.
Hi, this is Tom Taylor. So I didn't get an invitation to or a link or anything, so I used Aaron's. So
Okay.
so I don't know if we're both on a link or not. Aaron, are you there? I guess you're on a link too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh well, it seems to be working. We were able to log on.
Bye.
Okay, great. So what we have done since the last meeting is dramatically scaled the building back. It's gone from 20-something thousand square feet to about 14, including a partial second floor in the building. Reduced the the mass of the building, and really it's located really in the farthest possible place it can be from the highway. There's only a small triangle of space that's available for us to put this building, and because there's a setback off of the slope down to the field, and it really is a fairly small triangle of space that we're able to put this in. So I'm not really quite sure. There were some comments from the last meeting regarding building location and its relationship to the highway, but I don't think there's anything that we could do to improve that. What we've tried to do is also use, dark and sort of agricultural looking materials to sort of reduce the visual presence of the building. And I think that the photo montages actually do a pretty good job of showing how this building really doesn't really stand out as you're driving along the highway. It really settles in pretty nicely, I think. Has a really, it's next to some fairly large buildings on the property next door, which I think helps with the scale of this building in relationship to the context. We did keep one of the monitor roofs because we liked the soft natural light that created within that space, but reduced off the monitors, the sort of clear story windows that were in the production area in order to scale the building down and reduce the amount of potential light distraction that would be created by the building.
Okay, does that conclude your presentation? Do you need to speak to the elevation?
I would, if I could, please speak to that just for one moment. We did scale down the. I'm sorry.
Yep, go for it.
Okay, yeah, we did scale down the height, and as Tom had mentioned, that we do have on our neighboring property, we kind of blended it more towards that. They also have. Well, they have two 15,000 square foot agricultural buildings that are similar in height to this particular building. I know that at the last hearing, there was the question of, distance to the road versus distance to the road of the previous buildings that were being proposed. Those buildings, when I pulled up the plan set, were actually 160 feet off of Highway 246. This building now that we're, back into this corner of the property sit 279 feet away from Highway 246. So we really did gain a lot of distance from that highway, as Tom had mentioned, as much as we possibly could to tuck it back there and kind of place it in a similar distance to, our neighbor's property.
Okay, does that conclude your presentation?
Does for me.
Okay. Are any board members have a question regarding content or representation on the plan? All right.
I have a question, Madam Chair. Could you show us where I'm not saying the setback line.
I believe it's this line
Is
here.
it right there? So that's as far as you can push it. Maybe you should go another 2 feet.
It says 200 top of, is that the setback you were referring to, the 200 foot top of bank?
It is, exactly.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Public comment? Jonathan, you want to
If
do
you'd
your
like
thing?
to make a public comment on this item, please raise your hand.
And if you're on the
And
phone,
on your phone, press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. See no public comment?
okay, let's start with board comments. Robin, you want to start?
No, I see the elevations.
Okay. It's much easier with a laptop, isn't it? Difficult on that screen.
Would you like me to go?
Sure.
Madam Chair? I will say that I appreciate the shrinking of the footprint, and I would still like to see the height be reduced.
Okay.
And those are my comments.
Alan,
Nothing at this point.
Robin?
I concur.
Okay, I have a couple of comments. I'm just gonna go to. Okay. Yes, with regard to the compatibility and the, adjacent structures. When you have a structure that's 15,000 square feet or 14,000 square feet, it's got the vernacular, it's got a very barn vernacular, one doesn't usually see all this fenestration. And I think what sells that to me as a barn is the lack of the fenestration. I mean, there's some, but there isn't all the glazing. And so that what happens for me is that when all this glazing is added, it becomes a different animal entirely. And then it no longer is a barn structure. And at that point, I'm looking at it through a different calculus, a different lens, if you will. And so the size and how you break it up and the height, all of those become issues. And I think that, the rest of the board, you can say what, if you concur with this, but that's kind of what's driving for me the request to limit the fenestration and break it up and lower the height.
Madam Chair, I agree, and I thank you for bringing that up because I feel the same way about the glazing.
Yeah,
It's just way too much. And it makes me concerned also about night sky and light leak, those issues as well.
yeah.
So thank you for bringing that up.
Anybody else? Lowell, I didn't ask you if you had anything to say.
No, I concur with that comment.
Okay. All right. So those are our comments. And I would like to reconfirm that we will need a site visit. I understand why you came back to us before the site visit. You wanted to show us this version. But I think it would be important at this point to do the story pole plan and go ahead and do the site visit, put the story poles out. And I think we're looking at these corners and these corners, and then these two, and then if you could, you could do one for the monitor, the height of the monitor. That one's
Hey,
kind of
Bethany,
simple.
this is Nicole. Could you assist me with how best to capture that in writing? What
Okay,
you'd like.
so let's do it this way, Nicole. If you assume that this is a T, a capital T on its side, the cross piece of the T, all four corners of that should be story pole.
Okay, all four corners of the T should be story poled.
Of the cross, the top. okay, which is essentially the east end of the building. And on the west end, those two corners, which would be the base of the T, bottom.
I'm kind of struggling on how best to put this into words. I understand what you're saying graphically.
Madam Chair,
Yep,
let me say, I would just say there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 outside corners. The 6 outside corners.
There we go.
And then 1 to show the maximum height at the monitor, maybe in the center.
The ridge lines.
Yeah.
yep.
Okay, got it.
Thank you, Cass.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's move to item number 2, 22 bar 85 Morehouse single family dwelling and grading. I think this is a new project. So do we have anyone for?
Yes. Hi, I'm Devin Barnes with Bruin Associates. I'm the architect, and then we have Renee Sele from my office also on the phone with us. This is a single family residence. The property do you want me to just jump in here, or Madam Chair?
Yeah, give me just a second.
Okay, yeah.
I need to minimize the screen so everybody's looking at the same thing.
Hey, how you doing?
Somebody has their mic on.
And this
And-
also, this is Nicole jumping in on item 1. How did we want to see that come back further conceptual with the site visit?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
please.
thank you.
Oh, I didn't call for public comment again. Yeah, we did. We did. public comment.
We did, okay, sorry.
Yep, I got it. But thanks for keeping up with me, because, you know, I'm scattered. Okay, so, yes, ma'am, if you could go ahead and do your presentation, what we'll do is you'll do your presentation, I'll ask for questions, we'll go to public comment. Questions from the board, we'll go to public comment, and then we'll return to the board to give us, to give you our comments on the project.
Madam Chair, so back to number 1, we're just continuing that? Do we need to make any kind of?
No.
We just are continuing.
There's no action on conceptual.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So, go ahead and do that, and then, I'll flip pages for you. It'd probably help if you start with the vicinity and then go from there.
Sure. So this is located off of Coyote Creek Road, which is east of Solving. It's near highway. You have some peekaboo views from Highway 246. The highway is still about 700 feet from the house where we're locating it. The family has had this property in the family for years, and it had been a vineyard at one time, but they are looking at developing it into a single family residence now. So we have also, just for note, we've gone over access and everything with the fire department already. We are positioning the house on the property, somewhat hidden behind a grove of some live oaks. It's up on the hillside away from the floodplain line. It's a 2,900 square foot house with somewhat of a loft area for bedrooms. It has a detached carport. It is accessed off of an existing easement road through their property for other neighbors.
That's the easement road that runs parallel to 246.
Correct. And near a creek down there, yes. This is just some of the kind of studies that we've done with fire department and the grading and the slopes, and making sure that we have the correct turnaround. Obviously, fire is somewhat of our concern up here. So this is just some of the driveway cuts. I think the next page has some more of the section cuts through the property of the existing slope, how we're planning to position it. Yeah, if you zoom out, this is a little bit more about the materials of the property. We were first looking at like a shoshukuban, beautiful, wood material, but we can't get it for the fire codes in that area. So we were proposing a dark gray metal standing seam We are proposing no eaves, so this does have a little bit of a modern look to it without any eaves. And then terracotta up on the face of the east elevation that comes down this asymmetrical kind of section of the house to a pool. We're looking at studying, you know, all the lights to be down lights. We understand the night sky concerns here. So there is a pool in this proposal. We have large doors on the south elevation that would open up and create breezeways through here. We're trying to be everything kind of sustainable. We're looking at solar panels on the roof as part of the plans here. We're looking at opening up windows throughout to get a lot of natural ventilation throughout the house. These are some of the existing pictures of the site and the old vineyards, where it's located. And you can see that current easement road through their property and the old vineyards. And these are just a few more views. The carport is proposed to have a low vegetation green roof on top. It's on the north side of the building. This driveway is meant to kind of like hide the cars behind the property, so you don't see when they're home or not home, as kind of a security type thing, but also keeps all that pavement somewhat hidden from the natural landscape. Some of the layouts of the house. Yeah, layouts with the ground floor, basically an open plan type thing with a loft area with 2 bedrooms upstairs. Yeah, and there's the solar panels and skylights. If you go back to the grading plan, I think it was let's see, I have these in front of me. 203. Just showing the max heights that were allowed, and that we're pretty far below some of these max heights with how we're placing the building.
I lost my touch screen, so you have to bear with me.
203.
I'll quit that.
Oh yeah, go down. Yeah, slide down.
Hold on a second, my computer's doing weird crap.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's basically it. I mean, we're up for concept review. I had slid in, I think on Monday, a landscape plan, but I didn't hear if it was included or not.
Let's check.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can just jump in. I don't think we would have been able to accept a landscape plan on Monday because plans are due 2 weeks in advance of the hearing to your planner.
Okay.
So
Yep.
No
So
landscape.
that's why it's not in the.
Yeah. So
No
no
landscape.
landscape for this time around, but we do have replacing some of the vineyards with lavender, looking at some of the native. We found a Chumash nursery that does a lot with the kind of renativifying some of the plants in the area. So we'd like to look into that down near the creek, adding in some oak trees, and then some, added things right around the house, but not within the fire zone areas.
Okay. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes. Thank you.
Are there any questions from the board not related to Hillside Ridgeline? Yes.
At the entrance, I didn't notice a bridge over the creek, and I was wondering how you're going to access the creek.
We don't actually have to cross over the creek.
Ah,
Yeah, so if you go to the site plan, it is not where we have to cross.
The crossing
Oh, over
here.
there, that's, you know what, that's in the neighbors area. I'm not sure if they have a bridge. I
We
don't,
looked at this property.
yeah, I don't believe they do. We've gone over and seen her donkeys, but,
Is that it? Okay. I'm gonna call for public comment.
We have one hand raised. Robert Thumb.
Okay, Mr. Thumb, if you could, I'm just gonna let you know, the C-Bar is looking at neighborhood compatibility, some site design, and also mass, the buildings, and those kinds of things. Specifically, we're not looking at we don't look at traffic or light or those kinds that were use things. So if you could frame your comments within that, that would be very much appreciated. Take it away.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good, thank you very much. My name is Robert Toom, T-H-U-M, and I live at 2544 Elk Grove. It is a property that's north and east of the subject property we have here that you're discussing. It is sort of a one of several upstream sites on this low plain where the house is being proposed that extends up the hill towards the east. There is a creek that goes down along my southern portion of my property and along the southern portion of the properties that are immediately to the east of us. It continues down. My property is nearly adjacent. I think I'm 3 or 4 feet away from actually touching the subject property. But it's next to the property where the donkeys are. The reference was just made to a second ago. In any event, the creek crosses my portion of the property. It goes to the east portion of the subject property, dips down towards the Coyote Creek Road, and then actually crosses it. My only comment is this. That is that in your consideration of this particular project and the applications that are made for it, that you take into account the fact that the creek, which I'm not sure if it bears a name where I am, but looking at the hydrological maps of the area, it looks as though it is a tributary to Alamo Pintado Creek, which eventually empties into San Ynez River. In any event, it's a crucial part of our property that will help remove flood surface water during flood events or flooding events or heavy weather events. And so that we need to have that we would ask that the board consider that no improvement on the subject property here take place that would have the effect of obstructing that creek, because obviously it would back it up onto our property and everything else. I'm sure you're taking this into account, but since it's an important part of my property, I thought it would be useful to have my comments brought before the board for their consideration as appropriate. That's all.
Okay, thank you, sir. Board comments. I'm going to start because we have an issue right off the bat needs to be addressed. Well, two. The first one's minor. This is not the property. This is
thank you.
on the vicinity map. We looked at this one previously, so I was real familiar with it. But the real big elephant in the room is going to be the height.
Okay.
And I'll tell you that, Nicole can speak to this 35 limit.
Mhm.
You're in the rural zone as opposed to urban for hillside ridgeline, which means that your maximum height is 16 feet.
Oh, really?
And you can get an additional 3 foot for the 4 and 12 roof, which means it affected what it did, and it was designed to do was to eradicate 2 stories on hillsides.
Mm. And that's 16 foot from the existing grade.
Yep. Yes, it's calculated by projecting the existing plane, which is very difficult to, put on sections and because, it moves,
Mhm.
right? So, depending on what's there. So I'm gonna guess. And the other thing is if you were to take this to keep your two-story, if you tried to push it into the ground, there's some other things that you're gonna run aground of, which is grading, excessive grading. So this is, you could talk to your planner. I'm glad to see you have a planner assigned. About how these all are interconnected.
And you said it's 16 foot in that area is the max?
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, so if it's hillside ridgeline and rural or inner rural, which this is, then the height limit is 16 feet, and with a 4 and 12 pitch, you can get an additional 3 feet, so that's 19. So you may want to push the structure back and down and just kind of work with the topography a bit, but you can talk to your planner about it and they can give you more info on the height regulations if you'd like.
Okay.
The other thing is it may affect your sighting. I'm just going to go here because this is showing the whole site. If you do not have a 16-foot drop within 100 foot of any point of the structure, you don't trigger hillside ridgeline, and in which case your height limit would be 35 feet.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
Certainly. The hillside ridgeline ordinance is triggered when you have a fall of 16 feet within 100 feet of any point on the structure.
Yeah, so I think just going back, please just talk with your planner as far as like applicable height regulations overall.
Okay, yeah, I think we had checked the hillside ridgeline, but you had mentioned the rural and inner rural zoning. So
it's yeah, there's the hillside ridgeline, I think calls it urban and rural. Okay. It's based on the geographic location of your site and your rural, which is 16 feet.
Okay.
Okay. With that, anybody want to make comments?
I'll go, sure. I'll just start by saying that I recognize the effort and the challenge, but I am unable to make the findings that the proposed meets neighborhood compatibility for either the design or the concerns for the light leak. So I cannot support this project as proposed.
Okay. Anybody else? I'm not hearing anything else. I think that as you go, that's a very good comment to get. I'm glad Cass made it. And that will, that gives you some direction from the board. I think these are all that, what Cass issued are things that are going to be concerns for us. The fenestration and how much light trespass you have, those are going to be concerns, regardless of whether hillside ridgeline is triggered. So you've got some work, I think, which I'm sure you can do, but you're going to need to get with your planner and look at those ordinances. And then return to us with a planner's memo.
Of course. And then I understand the light leak, but design wise, less windows, type of thing, but design
the other comment was neighborhood compatibility. Yep. And that usually speaks to, it can speak to style. It can speak very much to color. And it's your proposal. You propose what you want to propose and we give you our comments. But neighborhood compatibility isn't just about the adjacent properties. It's kind of, what is seen somewhat holistically in the area. Mm-hmm. And so we're looking at quite a bit of things, with that. And the vernacular and style that you propose you know, you might speak more to that next time.
Okay, got it. Okay,
Okay? All right.
thank you.
Thank you. Item number 3, 22 bar 133, and I'm gonna murder the name, Log Pool.
It's actually Logue.
Log, see, I knew I was gonna get it wrong, Tony.
Well, unfortunately, it's incorrectly spelled on the agenda, but Logue is the name.
This is the correct.
Bethany, item 2 is returning for further conceptual.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Okay, there's no previous comments. Note to Nicole, did you catch that the name is Logue is the correct spelling? And
Okay,
that should be
got it.
correct on the agenda. Okay, take it away, Tony.
Sure, I'd love to share my screen if that's feasible.
Nope, we're gonna do it this way.
Okay, sure. So this project is in the Rancho Estates neighborhood towards the end of Baseline Drive as you drive out east. And you can see my vicinity map there. And what we're proposing is a cabana. There's an existing residence along with a detached garage and equestrian facilities at a lower elevation. So where the main house is there to the left is at a much higher elevation. And then you see the serpentine roadway or driveway down to the lower section of the property. We're hillside review based upon the 100-foot radius. Yes, from that corner of that building, we do drop more than 16 feet within 100. So that's the lay of the land. Going to the next sheets are enlarged floor plan, or excuse me, site plan, showing our radius and so forth.
Right, that's your 100-foot. Got it.
Yeah, it's our intention that this building have a different finish than the main house, which is white with a blue roof. And if I'm able, I can share some site photos, which unfortunately didn't make my submittal.
Conceptual review, we can.
Tony would like to share some site.
If not, we
can you show us the photos at the end?
Sure, absolutely.
So like we can finish this.
Yeah, sure. So this is our pool cabana, well under the height limitations there for a building of this nature. We're wanting to use a wood siding. There's enough fenestration to kind of create the sense that this is indoor-outdoor space. So you can see from the floor plan, both the north and west, we'll call it just for the sake of orientation, is glass with roll-up doors to the left of your cursor. This will be an open beam. And then with our spectacular views from that kitchen area, we also want to have glass looking out sort of towards the southwest, in that corner. And then in order to make things nice, warm and fuzzy and so forth in the winter, we've got a fireplace here with a nice seating area. And we are proposing a pool. We'll see that in a couple further sheets down in the set. There'll be a bathroom and some storage for pool equipment. There you go. So this is our concept, wood vertical siding. We'll get to the color board. So these are just sort of monotone for now, just to give you an overall sense of size and scope of the building. There's our color board. If you could zoom in, that'd be great.
I'll work on it while you talk. So
this helps to illustrate our wood siding, our light fixtures and metal parts that we plan to use as close to galvanized finished as possible. Maybe even some mill finish, very hooded for nighttime sky sort of things. Maybe there's an occasional potted plant of some sort, but I think this gives you a a good sense of our color scheme there. We'd be using a metal standing seam roof. And we can go to the next page. We're working with Arcadia Studios, and I have Scott Dominguez here. He's joined us and he can kind of walk us through the landscape plan.
All right, Scott.
All right, hi. Yeah, so I think our overall vision and goal around the pool and the pool cabana is to, as Tony said, have that indoor-outdoor relationship. So as you walk out from the main house, the patio that wraps around would be all at one level, have some new planting and vegetation up against the house. But the idea would open up the views from that pool deck. And then we do have sort of a small terrace that we would have that would lower down to that lower bocce area. You can see some access stairs that come off of the from the pool cabana that you would walk down, and maybe some built-in benches along that small retaining wall that would not exceed 30 inches to access that lower bocce court area. And then as we move, I guess, west, we have a little fire pit seating zone along with some more vegetation and maybe some natural boulders along the edge to help catch up back with the grade, and then just slowly feather out into some, native grasses and vegetation as it drops down along that hillside. There's a small section there, elevation kind of indicating the pool and the seating bench with that low wall and that bocce court to give them kind of an overall view of how that would step down.
Okay. Tony, can you let him share his screen? Can you do it from
I
here?
just have to remove myself as co-host.
Okay.
You can have more than one co-host.
You can have more than one.
You can have more than one co-host?
Yeah.
I think you would have to make it a co-host then.
Okay, is that what you do? So hold on a second. I'm gonna
Sure.
make you okay. Yep. So go ahead and you can screen share now. Just for the pictures, please.
Sure, I understand.
Make sure these get into staff too.
Yeah, and you will need to submit every picture that you show us.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so are you seeing the photos?
Yes, we are.
All right, great. This is the existing dwelling. Our proposal for the cabana is here to the right. So the idea is to keep it flush with the existing finished floor of the residence. This is a neighboring property, just as a matter of seeing what's there and what's present. Our cabana will be to the left, and we plan to have some screening here as well between the two properties. Again, another photo from the front showing the residence next door. Arbor effect, just in terms of overall vision and feel. This is where the pool would be located. Cabana here to the right along these large evergreen trees. Just an existing garden showing the screening between us and the northerly neighbor. This is the rear of the residence, and the cabana is planned for right in this area.
Anybody got a phone?
What's that?
Keep going, Tony.
All right.
We're adjusting our lighting in the room, that's all.
And then Scott was kind enough to share his terracing concept and pool idea. So the pool would be at this elevation. There'd be a step down of 30 inches or so down to a lower elevation here. This is our views off the back looking towards the east.
Okay.
Further view of the neighboring property.
Okay.
The rear of the residence and the cabana is designed here. Our roof line or our ridge line will be much lower than the existing ridge line, so it'll nestle in here and add privacy to the pool area. Again, cabana would be located in this area. And I think that that's the extent of the photos I wanted to share.
Okay, I'm gonna reclaim the screen. Okay, so we're back here. Are there any questions for Tony very quickly for clarification?
Yes, Madam Chair, I have some questions, please.
Okay,
Do you have can we see the overall site plan to show the entire, existing, yeah, there, do you have it further out that shows?
Yeah, right there. Uh-huh.
this was the house in the pictures, correct? Down here. when I
Yes,
first started.
that's correct. Uh-huh.
Right, and then down below is, what is that down there? That's on this property also?
Yes,
Yeah, that's correct. Uh-huh.
And then we have a neighbor at the top there too?
Yes.
Is there anything further on down and to the right?
It's such a lower elevation, but yeah, there is. And I do have a Google Earth image if you'd like to see it.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
I need to keep control.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right. You're saying there are some others down the way. And then also, do you have an elevation that shows the new proposed cabana with the existing house? And what is the cabana is 16 feet, right?
Correct.
And then the existing house is what? What's the overall height of the existing house?
I would say that it's probably 20 feet.
Okay. And then if you have an elevation of the two together?
I do not. I do
Okay,
not.
that's all right.
Uh-huh.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
Any other questions? Public comment?
If you'd like to make a public comment on this item, please raise your hand. If you're calling in, press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. Seeing no hands.
Okay, let's come back to the board. Who wants to start?
I can start.
Okay, Robin, hit it.
I like the project, the colors and materials. And my only concern is the light trespass from all the glazing. And I'm wondering if there will be anything on the glazing to temper the light trespass
Like curtains and shades of blinds or something.
or.
You know, at this point, we haven't talked specifically about window treatments per se, but I would imagine. What's
Yeah,
that?
Tony, let me just get the.
Oh, I'm
the
sorry. Yeah, go
board's
ahead.
Comments.
I understand.
No worries. Okay, Robin, keep going.
So that's it for me.
Okay, next.
I'll go on this. Okay. I have the same concern. I think it's a nice project overall. I like the basic idea. I am concerned about that corner. It's basically a glass box. And of course, the whole idea is to have a glass box. So I don't know that having blinds is going to help because you're going to want to have it open all the time. And I'm very concerned about how that's going to be for the neighbors, you know, in the evenings, pool parties, etc. So I always believe that editing is our friend. So I think you have a lot of glazing there, and that maybe you could study possible reduction of the amount of glazing. And I appreciate that the difference in the elevation, that this is subordinate to the house. But I think it might be nice to, you know, maybe drop it down a little bit. But my main concern is that glass box effect and the amount of glazing around. And that's what.
Okay, Alan or Lowell?
No comment.
Okay, I would like the board to go on record whether one of our findings pertains to having all structures essentially be the same. Are you supporting the change in materials from the main house?
Yeah, I support that.
Yep,
Yes.
okay, so that's a definite yes, Nicole. I don't have any other comments. It's a very nice project. I appreciate the inclusion of the pool and the bocce court. and the explanation of, you know, the terracing and how the project works. But I would say that I too have a lot of concerns about the light trespass. So that concludes how we want to see him return.
Continue. I would say.
Conceptual, further conceptual? Is that the board? Okay, nod, I can't.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so return for further conceptual. And we'll go to item number 4, 22/129, long storage barn.
Yeah, that is also my project, Bethany.
I know.
Okay.
I read the agenda and looked over the plans. I went, oh, Tony's got 2 in a row. Okay. So same thing. This is a new project, so there's no, we don't have any further, any comments. So go ahead, Tony.
Okay, yeah, just for reference, we are out on Roblar, off of Roblar Road, Oak Trails Estates. So we're using the Roblar entrance, Montecito. We can navigate down a little further on the screen just for an overview of the overall site. So we are at the top of the hill. There's existing residence, very gorgeous Spanish style residence. And we're planning that this 800 square foot barn will match the same finish, colors, and so forth of the main house, yes. So I had taken some photos. It's barely visible from the roadway, just probably from those large trees there at the entry gate. The one at the top of the photo is a photo taken from the roadway looking up to, yeah, right there, just behind that power pole. So it's a long linear building, 40 feet long, 20 feet wide. Will match the clay tile roof. There's some images there that should indicate the existing finishes and location of the barn for reference. So we'll be right off of the corner of that lower photo there, not far if we wanted to go back and forth from the site plan and give you some more other orientation. But those 2 photographs above the existing there will help to show you the location on the property. You can see, you can see from our elevations there, we're probably 3 feet below the maximum height of 19. So we're not that tall at all. And then there's a front elevation there to the left of the light spec. We are planning to match the existing lighting that's on the main residence. And if you care to, you could zoom in, on that there. It's sort of somewhat in the shape of a old bell, if you will, with a anodized bronze sort of finish. So we'll be using those same lights that are on the existing main house.
There's 2 here. Are there any others?
Yes, I've noted them on my floor plan. There'll be 2 at the front and 2 at the rear. And then I mistakenly left off the one there at the pedestrian door there to the left, the 70 door.
Okay.
Have a concrete apron, and at this point, there's not a huge plan to do a lot of landscaping, since this is sort of a utility area. And then you can see we've also done some structural analysis on what it would take to build this type of building.
Okay.
Cost, these days could try to minimize the cost of construction. So it's a simple rectangle, not that height at all. We'll use truss framing, and that basically concludes my presentation. You can see it's rather straightforward.
Thank you, Tony. Any quick questions for Tony?
Madam Chair, I have a couple questions. What are the windows? Could you talk about the windows, the garage door and the man door? What are they? And do they match the existing house? Maybe you could show what they look like from the existing house or something. Looks like-
They do. So
yeah.
the idea with the 3 windows would be facing towards the roadway, although you're not going to see much of them, but they will indeed match the main house. They're looks like a dark anodized frame, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches on the frame itself. And then the rest will just be fixed glazing. And on the sectional roll-up door, we plan to paint it a dark brown color and make it nondescript.
Is it gonna be close to the anodizing color or?
Yeah, I'd say a dark brown to match the fascias and the outlooker beams you see in that photo there. Yes.
Okay,
Is that a metal door or is it a wood panel door or what exactly is it?
We haven't come to that conclusion. I think a lot of it has to do with budget and cost, right? So I would assume most likely be metal and probably an insulated metal roll-up door. Painted to match the trim color.
And sort of the light fixtures too, right?
Correct, yeah, and that finish that's shown in that attachment there is the actual finish.
And then the man door also?
Correct, yes.
Okay, and then the fascia and the beams, are
Yeah,
they gonna be dark brown as well with the tile roof?
Yeah, it's our intention to match all those finishes that you see there that Bethany had the cursor on to the right in the inset photo.
Okay, yeah, all right, and then white stucco.
White
well,
stuff.
the same color as the hat.
Match that, what we're looking at there.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank
Just,
you.
just
You're
to,
welcome, sure.
he's got, everything is to match existing.
Yeah, I know, but I can't tell what existing is, so.
Yeah, well then, Tony,
now I
could you
can-
submit some better photos of the existing house? That would have helped us to understand to match existing.
Sure.
And the
does it-
windows don't, the windows are just one big glass, piece of glass, no breakups in the windows at all.
There
In
wouldn't,
that,
no, it'd be a single light of glass.
okay.
Good
And that
light
matches
light.
what's on, that matches what's on the house?
It does, uh-huh.
Yeah, it would be great to have some
Okay,
images.
any other questions?
That's all, thank you.
Okay, anybody else, any other questions? Public comment?
If you'd like to make a public comment on this item, please raise your hand. If you're calling in, press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. Seeing no raised hands for public comment.
Okay. Comment from the board, who wants to start? Go ahead, Cass.
Well, I would move to, if it's appropriate, move it forward. Move to approve,
I have a comment.
oh, yes,
I would just like, I like the project and the materials matching the main residence. I have concerns about the lighting and I'd like to see the lighting minimized, just one light at each door. And that's it.
Okay, anybody else have any other comments?
I agree with Robin.
Okay, you want to make that part of your preliminary motion?
Maybe the light could be centered above or something.
I
but,
think that's up to him.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I would move to approve this project to move forward to,
Well, you would make a motion for preliminary approval.
okay, preliminary approval with the comment about the lighting, to reduce the amount of lighting and to see examples of the existing elements on the main house.
Is there a second?
I second.
That was Robin. Any
Well,
further discussion?
I've got a question then. Madam Chair,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the lighting. This is a barn. And my personal opinion is I think it should come back for final on consent next time. If it's going to match the existing house, I think there's 5 of us here today, and there's 2 comments about the lights. I would urge you to take a vote of us to see if that's actually going to hold it up. Because I don't have a problem with the
Okay.
light. The lights are kind of small anyway. It's a barn.
We can answer this really quickly. Tony,
Yes,
is there an existing garage?
there is an existing garage. If you'll go back to the enlarged site plan, I can indicate that to you. Yeah, see where the two indents on the, yeah, just right there, that's the garage to the left.
Okay. And does it have lights on either side of the door?
It does.
Does
Uh-huh.
it change your comment?
No, because I really think we should be minimizing lighting for dark sky compliance.
Madam Chair, I would agree with that. I think that's really important to do, and I think it's a simple thing. And it also sort of helps to differentiate this structure from.
Let me go ahead. Alan,
I'm,
you're fine with it as is?
I'm fine the way it is. We've got there's 5 of us, there's 2 comments. Let's take it.
Alan, or Lowell?
I'm fine with the way it is too, because it's on a hilltop and the house is actually
I know.
blocking the light trespass from the neighbor's property.
Yep, this here.
That's true.
Tony, how about this? Leave the 2 lights on this end and reduce it to 1 on this end. Does that work with everybody?
I can live with that.
Yeah?
Yeah, sure. I just do feel very strongly that we need to reduce the amount of lighting overall. So, but I'm not gonna make a big, I guess, what does the applicant think?
Well, I want to make sure we have support.
Okay.
Alan and Lowell?
So, just a question.
Yep.
Applying 1 light on the north side,
Yep,
and what is that doing?
for this property here.
We can't see it going there.
I'm not able to hear Lowell's comments.
Well, these are, excuse me, through the chair, these are, if I remember correctly by looking at the picture, these are downward facing dark sky compliant lights. And if I remember looking at the plans correctly, I think this barn is below the property that is above to the right, is it not? I think that property to the above is actually above it by 100 feet or so, is it not?
Yeah, that's correct, Alan. That is correct.
So please don't get me wrong here, and I don't want to nitpick, but I don't see the difference between 1 light and 2 lights. You've got a barn that's used, that might be used at night, at dusk or something. I can't see the lights being on all night, just when it's being used, and I don't really see the difference between 1 light and 2 lights.
Is, Madam Chair, is it possible to move it forward for final on consent with the reduced lights? Because 1 light versus 2 lights is double.
Okay, well, I'm going to end this now since I'm the deciding vote.
Okay.
Tony, if you decide that it makes sense to reduce it with the 1 light on that side because of this property, that's fine. If you have, as Alan says, if you can demonstrate with a photo or something like that, how this neighbor isn't impacted, so submit that photo and leave it with 2 if they're not impacted. That's my vote. And I would say yes to final on consent. Is that agreeable to you, Tony?
That sounds great, and I'm sure the owner would agree with that as well. So we'll take a look, make sure that we don't have any unforeseen impact. But again, as you know, as Alan Corlin pointed out, the lights comply with the nighttime sky ordinance, so there's going to be minimal amount of light.
I got it.
Yeah.
If you're okay with it, that's a simple yes, and we'll move
Yes,
on.
I'm okay.
All right, so that was the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, and you are to return final on consent. Yes.
Great, thank you.
Typo here in the description. It says, just to pick up, it says 250 yards of cut and approximately 250 cubic yards of cut.
Oh, yeah, Nicole, there's an error in the description. It lists, it says there's 250.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, you got it.
And then
Right.
hearing support, I'll just want to remember that for future agendas too.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, item number 5, which I think is, it would be 21 bar 174 Zasha, new barn and ag employee dwelling. Do we have someone here for that?
Hey, Bethany, Brett Jones here.
Yes.
I could be coming up as Tony because I never got an invite. And Don Zavato, our designer. Don, are you on? I don't believe.
Yeah, I'm here, Brett.
Okay, great.
I'm here, Brett.
Great. You can see the plans, Don. You can take it from here.
If I can get the plans up, I'm on my iPhone.
Bethany, you should have minutes from the October 8th, 21 meeting.
I don't have any minutes for this item. Can you
It was
check?
October 8th of 21.
I noticed that there weren't.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
Somebody's talking and they're going in and out.
Bethany, I can probably find those older minutes on our
I'm accessing them right now, Nicole. What was the date? One more
Okay.
time, 20?
Brett, can you give us the date? It was October 8th, 20.
October 8th of 2021.
Jonathan, you just stole my screen.
Yeah.
You can just read them.
Oh.
Okay, these are the comments here?
Yes.
Okay, the previous comments were nice design, appear to be matching the existing details and materials. If so, colors and materials should be noted to match existing on the project plans, all elevations as well. Graphically identify and label existing and proposed grades on the elevation plans for both structures and identify the height limit above grade. All drawing sets should show the same information, e.g. paved and landscape areas. Dimension turnaround area on the site plan, identify all exterior lighting and demonstrate dark sky compliance. Okay. I just. Okay, I'm gonna get back to you guys in just a second. I was gonna see if we could. Because I believe this is almost next door to the last one we looked at.
Yeah, just a little bit east.
All right. So this is Monastiello Drive. And this is the project we just looked at, and
Right.
this is the one we're looking at now.
Correct. So we're down to that southern end in that kind of pasture area up on the ridge. If you head a little bit south along that tree line area. Hey, Don, are
here?
they're south of that. Don, are you able to see everything?
Yes.
Okay, I'll leave it to you, Don, then to go through the drawings.
When do we
Okay,
want?
as noted,
Okay,
as noted, we were at a prior meeting and we had some comments to address, which I believe the updated plans do in fact address the turnarounds, the overall heights, the grades, and the lighting issues. So I believe we did address, in fact, on the revised drawings, all the comments that were made by the board at our last October meeting.
okay, so this is the proposed barn site, and that's under a separate permit, second dwelling unit.
That's, Bethany, that's actually an ag employee dwelling, and
Okay,
you should also have the drawings for that set as well.
I do, okay,
And then we have a separate landscape set, and Justin Manuel from Arcadia is on as well.
okay. I think Justin was the one who was going in and out earlier. Okay, so this is your enlargement. You want to walk us through what you've got here? Okay.
Don, are you able to do that, Don, or do you want me to?
Why don't you come? I'm out in the field, so it'd be a little easier since you're sitting there. If you can just walk them through that, that'd be great, Brett.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Bethany, if you want to go back to the site plan, you'll see the barn, the ag employee dwelling to the south of the barn, and then the fire department turnaround with the details. Just above it to the right is the detail of the hammerhead.
Okay.
And then as we go through the barn, if you get to the elevations, you'll see the notations regarding materials to match the existing residence and detached garage that's on site. There you go.
And we're showing the change in elevation on these as well.
Yeah, the elevation existing and proposed grade and the heights. We are using the more than 4 and 12 pitch to get to the 19 feet. The note, I can't see the plan note here, but there should be a note down below that's just to match existing, all exterior materials and colors to match existing.
Yep.
And then also, if you want to zoom in on the night sky compliant fixture, the lamp you'll see is up in the housing of the roof of that fixture. Those are existing fixtures, and these new ones will be the same. And then we've got the temperature and everything there on the right described.
Okay.
So I believe that's probably the barn set. Then you should have an ag employee dwelling set, which will be very similar. Probably a few more pages. There are, if you want to finish off and you look at the details here. So we are trying to get final today.
Yep. Okay, let's see. I think this is the ag employee set.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, perfect. So again, hammerhead, which I know is this should be consistent with the other set. And when you get to the elevations, same notations and light fixture. While you're here, you might notice on the north side there a fixture on each end, not in between all doors. Again, same fixture, and should have a notation again, all materials to match existing.
Yep.
And then now just all the, other details. And then Bethany, you should have another landscape set that maybe Justin can. Okay, cool.
Let's just go ahead and finish the details because you are here for final. Your electrical plan doesn't jive.
Yeah,
You've got,
just noticed that.
which is interesting because the two on the sides, outsides don't look like they're on a switch. Anyway.
You guys can lose those. Can I?
Well, your elevations don't show them. They just show the two on the outside.
Because there might be other, if he has other ones that are shown, this might get pulled too.
All right, I think this is just here. Yeah, okay. All right, landscape. All right, Justin.
Hi, this is Justin from Arcadia. If you want to jump to LP1, I think we can cover all of it with that plan.
This one? That's your irrigation. Yep.
Yeah,
details.
next plan.
This one?
Yeah.
Justin, you're on, right?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can.
Perfect. I'll just make this kind of short and sweet. Kind of matching the tune of this, we're matching existing. We've got a gravel driveway that comes out, so we're pulling the gravel driveway all the way through the end of the property. And then to keep this all really just kind of rustic feeling, not decorative or anything like that, we just have native a seed mix for erosion control going throughout besides the pastures. And then we've got a couple olives sprinkled throughout. Along the top of the page, existing is a double row of olives that one of the rows is stopped short. So we're just adding olives to complete that. So that'll help screening on the east side of the property. And then at the beginning of the driveway, there's some existing oaks. So along the west side of the property, we've sprinkled in some more oaks for screening from the other properties that you can see so that they can't see these buildings that well and vice versa. So those are just coast live oaks. Everything is low water use, including a little bit more of the, kind of decorative planting around where your cursor is there. We've just got some Arctostaphylos and Teucrium, things that kind of love it there. And that's it for the landscape, really. We just try to keep it simple and rustic.
Okay, I have a quick question. Brett, have you already been to the fire department?
Yes, we are in process with fire.
Okay, so my only concern would be, is this area of concern here as far as gravel with the slope?
Yeah, it's less than the 10%. So we are the all weather.
Okay. All right, that was my question. Any other questions?
Does the existing house have the storm shutters on?
Did you hear Lowell? He asked, does the existing house have the storm shutters?
Yes.
Question?
Yep.
Chair, do we have a elevation, back to the Lowell's question, do we have an elevation that shows all the way across, all of these buildings that are lined up across this?
No,
ridge?
what you see is what we have.
And then we have, did they show us pictures of the existing house?
I imagine that was last time.
Oh, can we see those again?
This is what I have.
Well, if they were there last time, can we not see them?
it's, that this is what was submitted, and so this is what we got, because there's,
Would you ask the applicant, were they submitted last time? I don't understand.
Brett, did you submit photos last time of the
Yes.
existing house?
Yeah, we looked at all the existing structures last time.
I remember that.
So I think that the thing is they aren't loaded in the box for review this time, so they aren't available to us today, even if they were submitted before.
And then a question on the lighting. You showed existing lighting that apparently complies with night sky, although I'm wondering, I'm not seeing like where the lamp is, and do we have a specification on that existing light to show that it actually, the lamp is up underneath that housing? Do you have a spec on the that lamp there? I mean, that fixture, sorry.
Just the spec that you see there, that the lamp is inside the roof.
Right here,
Where can you point it?
right there. I got my cursor on.
Yeah, I just never seen a
This is
lamp that tiny that would fit in there, but
It's not a,
the LED.
it's a flat disc, basically. It's not a bulb itself.
Okay, like a.
It's just, it's a disc up there and has an element in it that shines the light, but it's no bulb. I don't use them before.
Yeah, I've seen this,
So you can
I've seen
back
this
for it.
adaptation before many times, actually.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, public comment?
If you'd like to make a public comment on this item, please raise your hand. If you're calling in, press *9 to unmute. I'm sorry, *9 to raise your hand, and *6 to unmute. Not seeing any hands.
Okay, and we've got nobody here. Board comments, and they are here for preliminary final. Well, I'll start. Brett, are you guys okay with just the two light fixtures here as shown on the elevation instead of what's shown on the
Yes.
electrical plan?
Yeah, I have Mike and Karen Zaka with me in my office here, and yes, we are okay with that.
All right. Any comments from anyone else? That's
Hey, Bethany, what was the plan that was showing more lighting? Electrical
it's
plan?
the electrical plan for the ag employee dwelling.
Okay, thanks.
Robin.
I like the project, and given our comments from October last year, I think they addressed everything, and I'd like to.
Would you like to make a motion?
Yes,
Make your motion.
I'd like to make a motion for the barn and ag employee dwelling with the, going with the elevation for the ag employee house and not the electrical plan.
Okay. And for what action? Preliminary final?
Yes, preliminary final.
Okay.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
There you go. You guys are done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 6. 22 bar 39, Cave Chadwick, new single family dwelling and accessory structures. I think there are quite a few comments. And let me just. Oh, that's not in there. Sorry. We go ahead and pull up the drawings. Do we have someone here for that project?
Yeah, good morning, members of the board. I'm Craig Minus. I'm the project planner for the applicant. I'm joined today with the project architect and the project landscape architect. The owner's also joining us today. We're returning from a June 10th CBAR session where we heard 2 overall messages from you, including 1, the need for us to be more clear on the design intent, And then 2, for us to respond to the 11 comments you provided on June 10th. So our project plan set now does include, yes?
Can I stop a second? Do we have a planner in attendance today?
Tina Mitchell is our planner. She is out of the office today.
Okay. Then I'm going to start with her memo, if that's all right.
I'm sorry?
I'm going to start with her memo. And I'm going to read the comments, and then you'll get to do your presentation, okay?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so the comments were concerned about extensive compound style development proposed amidst grassland, at least 7 buildings with a very intricate covered walkway, unsure what the purpose of the covered walkway will be. The wide distribution of structures throughout the site does not appear functional. Consider the realities of the site, particularly regarding the pathway. Appreciate the profile and deep roof overhangs of the structures. Concerned about the quantity of glass and lighthouse effect that would be caused. Board is open to differing architectural styles. Appreciate the vernacular style of barn. The material of the driveway is of concern, especially regarding reflectivity. Serious concern about fire danger. The main house is less than 50 feet from the property line, and the proximity of the home to the lot line will impact the owner's ability to manage fuel. Stretching out the buildings expands the required fuel management area. Question the use of wood, given the environmental issues of the area, fire, pests, etc. Provide clarity on the square footage of the proposed structures in terms of gross net and footprint. Provide a map of the location of other properties and provide site photos. Provide photos of the site as seen from Cougar Ridge and other properties. Looking forward to the next iteration of the project, particularly the landscape plan, as we were not able to do it. Okay, now I also have some site photos that were submitted by the planner, it looks like. And you guys aren't seeing them on Zoom. The way I shared. Oh, there's a way to do this. There we go. That's what I want. Okay, so. Okay, so for you guys, would you like us to start with these photos? The applicant, would you like me to start with the photos, or do you want to go into your presentation?
I think our presentation is best.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, on June 10th, we heard 2 overall messages from you. One being the need for us to be more clear about the design intent. And then 2, for us to respond to your 11 comments, which you just read. Our project plan set does now include a landscape design. That was a component we did not have the last time we met. So this is our presentation. I realize it's 34 slides. I'll be diligent to get through it. The first dozen slides do address our design intent better. And Andrew Hyde, our project architect, will describe this to you. I'll pick up on slide 13 and walk you through our responses to your 11 comments. Again, I'll make this quick in the interest of time. And then I'd suggest that our landscape architect be available to walk you through any landscape plans if you so choose. So after
that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So after our presentation, we'd really be interested in knowing which of the 11 comments, if any, remain so we can finalize our plans to your satisfactory and continue with our land use permit process. So I'll turn it over to the architect now. Thank you.
Good morning. Can you all hear me? This is Andrew Hyde, the project architect speaking. Thank you for having us back. The design intent is actually quite simple. The clients purchased this 20-acre property for its dramatic views of the Santa Ynez Mountains, panoramic views that take advantage of the southern exposure of the mountain, of the hillside sloping to the south. So the design takes advantage of different views, landscapes, and qualities of the site along the necklace, the path. In order to frame the landscape and views, we have covered the pathway that is connected from different distributed functions. Next slide, please. Taking advantage of these panoramic views in every direction, the house is conceived as a connected series of pavilions along this covered pathway, bridging all the structures in a loop. Next slide, please. In order to preserve this central open space, each pavilion is carefully sited for distant views and to disappear into native landscape. And they're, by the way, clustered near the oak trees on this, the dispersed oak trees on the site. Next slide, please. The covered pathway functions to connect each pavilion along a loop, to provide shade, and to frame distant panoramic views in every direction. Next slide, please. The covered pathway follows the existing topography and turns to frame and protect the native trees and landscape. Next slide, please. Each pavilion is conceived as a low cantilevered roof canopy wrapped in glass that is sunken into the hillside topography to introduce intimacy and privacy. Next slide, please. The central part of the covered pathway is the main house. The house is structured from two pavilions connected by an internal bridge that gently follows the existing hillside topography. Next slide, please. The design intent is to restore and protect the existing hillside topography and native landscape. Therefore, the area of development is clustered and compact. Less than 7% of the site is developed. Next slide. Thank you. The development is sunken and sited so as to be invisible from Cougar Ridge Road and all neighboring houses and structures. Next slide, please. The design intent creates a grading plan that is net zero. No fill is removed or added to the development. Next slide, please. And I believe Craig will continue here.
Yeah, I'll run through these quickly. This is to address your 11 comments. Comment 1 spoke to suggesting an extensive compound style development. It was noted 7 buildings. Next slide, please. We'd just like to point out that, you know, we measured kind of the development area, the components of this. It encompasses about 1.5 acres of a 20-acre development site, or of a 20-acre site. So again, as Andrew said, it's really about 7% of the site, which we think is kind of a cluster development. It should be noted, there was some confusion. There are not 7 buildings. There are 2 viewing decks or trellises that you'll see on the site plan. Those are not really habitable structures. And so, you know, I would suggest there's not 7, there's probably something like 5. Next slide, please. Again, this is just quantifying the square footages. We did capture the road square footage, which is, you know, making that generally pretty high. With respect to the habitable structures, we're more in the 11,000 square foot range and acceptable per zoning. Next slide, please. This slide gives you kind of the context, and again, I think probably to challenge the compound suggestion of the project, we put in our project in relation to adjacent neighboring properties. And just to illustrate that, you know, the footprint that our project is taking up is very consistent and similar to those that are in the area and part of the HOA that we are as well. Next slide, please. This spoke to why distribution of the structures does not appear functional. Again, quickly, we do believe they are functional, again, to capture views, to preserve the open space, to morph in with the natural design. And again, to try to be invisible from our neighboring properties. Next slide, please. Just a graphic to try to help illustrate that. Thank you. Next slide. Consider the realities of the site, particularly regarding the pathway. Again, maybe the pathway got over accelerated last time. This is really supposed to follow kind of the natural grade, a hiking path amongst the structures, again, to contour the existing topo, and to kind of help frame views and the landscaping and the experience as you traverse through the path. Next slide, please. Again, just a graphic to kind of illustrate that same concept. Next slide, please. Again, just another graphic to kind of frame that views and contouring of landscape. Next slide. Appreciate the profile and deep roof overhang of the structures. Thank you. Again, just a visual to kind of illustrate that cantilevered to sink into the ground, reduce the lighting effect. Next slide, please. Comment if I was concerned about the quantity of glass and the lighthouse effect. Yes, there is a considerable amount of glass, particularly on the main structure. Structures that will be more adjacent to Cougar Ridge Road will have less glass. Please remember this site is substantially down in elevation from Cougar Ridge Road. And so we think with the height limit, the screening, the landscape screening, that we will do a good job at minimizing any lighthouse effect. Next slide, please. General comment, thank you. Board was open to differentiating architecture styles. You said you liked the vernacular of the barn. No real response to that other than thank you. Next slide. You had a concern about the material of the driveway and if there would be any reflectivity on that. Just to clarify, the majority of the driveway will be gravel, not a hardscape material. There is a portion that will be concrete to meet the fire department slope requirements. Again, that's a very under 10% of the entire driveway. So it will be the majority of it will be a natural material. Next slide, please. You had concerns about fire danger, noted the main house location 50 feet from the property line, and ability to manage fuel or ability to manage kind of fire fuel. We've met with the fire department. Fire department has reviewed our project. We had a site visit with them earlier this week. A couple comments here. The structures are located exclusively to capture the views. And I think Andrew's done a good job at illustrating that. So that is very purposeful. We now have a landscape design which does address fuel management and reducing burnable areas in and around our structures. We are open to working with adjacent properties, which would be the HOA and in maintaining our areas around us from a fuel management area. So we feel that we will take this very serious or in process of making sure that everyone's satisfied, particularly the fire department. Next slide, please. This just speaks to the intended materials of the structures. And again, they will are intending, the architect can jump in here, but this is not, kind of sticks framing. I think we're intending to use material that is well more fire resistant than kind of typical framing members. Next slide, please. Somewhat already covered, but you wanted us to clarify the square footages of the structures. We've done that again. Perhaps the last time we met, we didn't do a very good job explaining the structures and the quantity and numbers of them. And so again, we're doing that here. Again, we're a fraction of the overall 20-acre parcel, which is very consistent with our the development of our neighbors, and square footages are there, subject to change per your comments. Next slide, please. Again, think we've addressed this prior, but we laid in our proposed project against some neighbors there, and so you can kind of see that we're very compatible with the extended development and probably even less impactful than many of our neighbors. Next slide, please. Again, just a graphic to kind of illustrate that, we are sunken down. I'd encourage you to look at the topography on our site plan just to realize how far down our project is. Thank you. Next slide. Again, just another graphic to try to illustrate how we are to weave into the natural landscape rather than kind of stand proud with the structures. Next slide. Again, same graphic trying to illustrate that for your benefit.
This is before the planted trees have been added. And then the next slide is, this is the image before the new trees are planted, and the next slide is with the new trees planted.
And this is captured from Cougar Ridge Road. So again, we are sunken down from there. Next slide, please. You were looking forward to the next iteration, and again, we did not have a landscape plan at that point, so we do have those. We've made some notes there with respect to the the landscape intent. Perhaps I could be joined by the landscape architect to clarify any questions you have. But I think that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Okay. So you guys are done. You're finished with all of you are.
Anthony, if you maybe want to give the board an overview of the landscape design approach, I'd welcome you to do that.
Yeah, okay, I can. Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, so in terms of the landscape, like mentioned before, it was going to be very naturalistic. We mostly are going to use fuel or fire, resistant plants, California natives, with low shrubbery in some pocket areas. And around the road itself, we will have native non-irrigated hydroseed mix for erosion control. And also, as stated earlier by Craig and by Andrew, there will be some areas where we will plant some larger coast live oaks in order to screen the property more, in order to screen the buildings a little bit more from the surrounding properties. And that's basically it. Yeah, like mentioned before, it's very minimal, just all California natives.
Okay. Does the board have any quick questions?
I have one quick question, Madam
Sure.
Chair. Can you just confirm about the lighting in the landscape, particularly along the path? I can't recall. I think you may have talked about it before. Do you intend to have lights along the path or in the cover above? Could you just talk about that, please?
Yeah, so all the lighting will be along the pathway, and it will be all dark sky compliant and all downward facing.
And I would add that most of the lighting would be, if there was lighting along the pathway, it would be along where the structures are. the dispersed, distributed structures.
Okay. Any other questions? I have one. What's your status with working with the fire department?
Tina, our project planner, have provided them all materials. They did review it for the FPC. We got that letter back from them. We had a follow-up meeting with the two representatives this past Monday. So there are a number of comments. Generally, I would summarize that they found the projects acceptable. There is some access to the guest house that they're looking for better access to the guest house. They do want to understand Cougar Ridge Road a little bit better with respect to the width. And they want to, understand what they intend that there will be, designated fire hydrant lines.
Okay. So you're in process.
Yeah, we're actively working with the fire department.
Okay. Because this is Tina's memo made mention this, and it said that it was that the incompleteness memo from the fire department was attached, and it's not here. So, or at least I don't think it is. Oh, there it is. Okay. Any other quick questions? Public comment?
Would like to make a public comment on this item, please raise your hand. If you are calling in, press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. Seeing nobody raise their hand.
Okay. Board comments? Cass, I know you're burning to start.
Well, I'm happy to let somebody else go first.
Nope,
Okay. Well, I want to start by thanking the applicant and to recognize the amount of work that's been done and the challenges. I will say, as an architect, I always appreciate creativity and creative thinking. That said, I have many concerns about this project. I do not think that it is clustered and compact, and it may be invisible during the day, but I'm very concerned about these structures spread out in the landscape with so much glass and with the roofs, which actually splay upward, which is going to project the light, not contain it. So I have many concerns about this project, and right at this point, I cannot make findings that the design is compatible with the area, and I cannot support the design as proposed.
Okay, next. I'm going to pick on you, Lowell.
Thank you. Well, certainly something different than we've ever seen before on the board. So, and it's very unusual for the neighborhood. I know that area quite well. And, I would have to see some further development of the site plans.
Okay. Robin?
I'm sorry, this is Nicole. I didn't really catch the last thing that Will said.
He was talking about the previous presentation that showed more of a plan package and less of a slide deck.
Okay, so not really a comment for
not really a
the minutes.
comment.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
I think I would like to thank the applicant for the response to us. I think you've really gone beyond. It was very clear to me, but I have to agree with Cass. I don't think it's compact or clustered, and I think the light trespass is a very big concern, and the covered pathway does not work for me, and I cannot support this project.
Okay. Alan?
Well, I think it's a unique project. It's certainly something I've never seen before. I don't want to hold that against them. I'm not objecting to the path. I think it's very unique. And it's, you know, it's something, if that's what the owner wants, I mean, that would be acceptable to me.
You're speaking as the pathway, as the path and the cover.
Correct.
Okay.
It's certainly unique. It's certainly something we haven't seen. It's interesting. I think it's unique for the property. I do agree that with Cass as far as possible light problems at night. I'd like to see that addressed. That could be done in a number of ways. As far as the grouping of the properties, again, I don't particularly have a problem with that. And I'm trying to wrap my head around it because it's so unique. I don't want to hold it against them because I haven't personally seen anything like that before.
Okay. All right. And anybody, when I'm finished, if you need something you need to further say, then by all means say it. If you don't have anything, we'll just move on. Okay, so the deal breaker for me is the cover over the pathway. I have no problems with the pathway as a hiking trail. I really don't have huge issues with the distribution on the side of the structures. I will say that you need to submit with your next submittal, you're going to need to address the hillside ridgeline potentiality for the barn, which I think is this structure down here. It is a very unique and very individualistic project, and but balancing that with neighborhood compatibility, the pathway cover is a bridge too far for me. I could deal with the rest. I am interested to see how the fire department review, I believe her Tina Mitchell's memo talked about these two places here where it crosses where the driveway crosses or under the path. They were concerned about clearance, I think. So I'd like with the cover. And so it'd be interesting to see how that works. But I would like to take a little bit of a poll. And if anybody else has any other comments, first of all, okay. I like to, various people have said they can't support the project in its current form. Could you give some direction to the applicant about?
I would also, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Matt Cave. My wife and I are the applicants and the property owners. I would also like a brief response period just for some of the comments that I've heard. I'm happy to speak now or wait for you to poll.
No, sir, the process is you guys make your presentation. We ask questions, we take public comment, and then we make our comments. And that's what we're doing right now. There's not a rebuttal kind of period.
I think when we're done, I think this is such a unique project. I think it behooves us to listen to when we're all done with our comments. How's that?
Okay, we can do that.
But
Is that okay with everybody?
This is Nicole. I do just want to mention that we consistently provide that feedback to applicants, and it would be a bit out of turn to start allowing that on individual projects.
Okay.
And they do have the opportunity to present at the next meeting any rebuttal type comments or presentation items.
I think that's probably what we should do. Anybody else have anything they want to add or any other comments that provide direction?
Well, I have
Yes.
one thing that I noticed, that the comments from the applicant were that we were creating viewing stations basically and framing the views. But in the photo presentation, what I saw was a lot of obstruction of view by the canopy roof in various elements of the project that means you weren't looking at nature, all you were seeing were architectural elements out on a native site. And so that was disturbing to me.
Okay,
Madam Chair?
yes, Ken.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think that, you know, and I always think of, in my work, we're always trying to find what we call the center of the Venn diagram. You know, once you bring everything together, where is that center point that works for everything? And these views go both ways. You know, you have your views out, and then there are views from your neighbors looking in. So you have to really take that into consideration, and just what the neighbors are seeing in this beautiful natural environment where really we want to limit the amount of built environment to the greatest extent possible. So those are my concerns of having these disparate little structures around that you're going to be walking to at nighttime as well with your flashlight, I guess, but they are glass buildings with splayed up roofs. So at night, they're going to be projecting light out. So I'm very concerned about that, as how it affects the entire neighborhood and others living in the area. So I just ask you to really think about that and look at that, you know, as you're considering how you're developing this property.
Okay. Robin, do you have, Robin or Alan, you have anything you want to add? Okay, you're good. I'm good. I made my comments. All right. So I'm going to call item number 7, 22 bar 77, San Ynez Band of Chumash Indians commercial building. I have a conflict of interest with this project. So
I'm sorry. We have what direction did we give further?
oh, how do they want to return? How do we further conceptual, I think.
Yeah, continue.
Yes, further conceptual, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you have to go now?
Yes, you have to wait until I get out of the room. So.
Put on that first.
Oh. Well, I'm trying to set this up for.
I can share an ice cream for.
Okay, so you're gonna, it's set up right now to show these, this view here, and you can open the window. When she opens the photographs, she'll have to share them specifically.
Yeah.
But other than that, here you go. This is your. Hey, Robin.
All right, good morning. Would the applicant like to give their-
Sure. Well, I'm Brian Tedley with Urban Planning Concepts. It's nice to see you both in person. I'm the land use agent for the applicant for the Chumash Indian new office building in San Ynez on Mansell Street. I'm here with Greg Lowe and Sam Cohen with the tribe. And we have the architects with Bureau Remote, Frank Knosky and Sam Beard should be on there as presenters. And we have not applied to county community for permit yet. We wanted to come for a conceptual review before we did that to see, present it and see what comments or suggestions you guys have for us before we take that big step. So then we can go to the architect and we can present what we want to do. I have some old school maps if that's of interest to anyone. If it's better than the screen, but we can go with the screen.
I think we have to go with this because this is.
Whatever was submitted.
Thank you. And we know Frank is logged on and
Frank is there.
I'm here now. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning. Can you just let us know which slides you want us to go through first?
Okay, so I'm sure you're all familiar with this site. This gives you just an overview of where we are with relationship to the town of San Ynez. So you can go to the next slide, please. So this is the site bordered by 246 Edison and Numancia. For reference, the museum that's currently under construction is just to the west or left of this image that we're showing here. So this appears to be the older submittal, not the last submittal that we proposed. Brian, did the one that's the more current one with just the current site plan and the conceptual images get loaded? This one looks like it's not the correct one.
This latest that I got.
Yeah, this is not the submittal. This is I was looking at the one that Sam sent off to you right before the last meeting. It got canceled, right? The last meeting that went out to. Yeah, because the site plan is.
Yeah, these are the materials that we have that were submitted.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
These are the plans that we were given for submittal.
Okay. Well, this is not the correct site plan and probably not the correct elevations or massing of the building.
Hey, Frank, this is Greg. Do you have any way to share?
Unfortunately, we can only view what was submitted last Friday for the package. So what's inbox currently is what we have to look at.
Okay, well, I guess you'll just have to talk through it, Frank.
Is it conceptual, or in concept, is it close to what you're proposing? I mean, what we're looking at is going to be the spirit of what you're suggesting enough that we can address, what you're proposing as a design. Is it close enough?
No, it's completely different. Yeah, it's a completely different site.
Degree of interpretation. It's an office building on the same lot, but we have to kind of have some more later actual information.
Is it a different shape?
Correct. It is a different shape, different configuration on the site, different architecturally than this shows.
Unfortunately, we're legally constrained to only discuss what you submitted.
I understand. So I guess our
I'm sorry, we'll do our best to, to respond to the aesthetics of the design that you're proposing, and hopefully you'll get enough information that will help you to move forward.
It's probably not worth looking at the aesthetics of this design because it's completely different project. We had a couple different tracks that we were going on, and this was one that was earlier that we abandoned, and we've gone to completely different concept, both architecturally and space plan, site plan, organizationally. So
if you want to show us colors and materials or anything that will be retained, we can give you feedback on that.
yeah, there's nothing in this presentation that's valid anymore.
Oh,
Well,
unfortunately.
sorry about that.
Yeah, I was our confusion. We must have just got our signals crossed on what was being submitted.
Not a problem.
Well, we look forward to seeing you next time then.
As do I.
Should we call for public comment?
Yeah, we should probably do the public comment now.
Does anybody from the public that would like to make a comment?
No, never mind.
Never mind.
Oh,
Okay.
goodness gracious.
Okay.
We have to continue, we'll probably continue to the next hearing. Continue to the next hearing, so when your package gets submitted again with the correct materials.
Okay. We will confirm what we're submitting on the next one.
Okay.
See you then.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bethany.
So that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry,
Sorry, guys.
sorry about that. We were looking forward to it.
It's not our choice.
Get on next
So
month.
is Stephanie
Thank
gonna
you.
come back for the final? Is she gone?
Hey,
No, this is
everybody.
her computer.
This is
Yeah.
cool. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so sorry, this a couple of things. Could you promote this current account, Jonathan, to a presenter when you have a minute? And then I think we want to go over the minutes before ending the meeting per our new procedure.
1 second, Nicole. There we go. Nicole, you should be able to share your screen now.
Great, thank you. I'll share the minutes. We'll just start at the top. This was approved, right? Sorry.
Just scroll down and we'll catch you as you go.
Sorry. Trying to center this. Would you like me to zoom in anymore?
No.
Okay.
Good.
That's good.
This is not El Capitan.
No, it's not. This is the Santa Barbara West Coast of what it is. This is the cannabis. Okay, I think that you could say, we appreciate the reduction to the main structure. And
There is
then,
only that structure.
what's that?
There is only that structure.
Yeah, well, okay. Take out main, she says.
I think it was okay the way she had it.
Well, I wanted, but
It was the issue was the square footage, the footprint versus the height.
it was both of them, and that's
Yes.
what I wanted to do, was combine the two.
Okay.
So you need a comma, and then we can, yep. And how do we want to word that? So the height and further reduction of the footprint. That's all. Do we have a priority over which one?
Well, I would put them as two separate things, but it doesn't matter. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, your opinion counts.
I think it should be a little bit more, instead of saying, the board directed reduction in, further reduction in the height, or I mean, further reduction in the footprint and the height, instead of saying would like to see. I think it would be more direct.
So it should say,
the board.
but reduce.
What is the height of that?
It was like 41 to the top of the model.
Yeah, 41 to the monitor.
What's the height of the?
Going for me.
41 to the monitor, and then it was 30.
Okay, you guys can't rediscuss the item. Okay. So we just need to stick to what we said.
Can we say board directed the or I guess we did say appreciate, so. we can leave it that way.
And it just says reduce. I don't think we need to speak of ourselves in the third person. Okay, for the second one, take out barn and put in structure. A structure of this size in the stated, well, how can we need to get in there that it's the structure, but it's the style, because it's not a barn.
Well, you could say a barn structure of this size, you were referring to.
Okay,
A barn structure of this size, because they're trying to.
okay,
Yeah.
there we go.
Because they're trying to make it agricultural looking.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I think that's what we said.
And do you want to say fenestration or glazing?
glazing.
Glazing.
I probably said fenestration, but I meant
What did you say?
glazing.
The quantity is excessive.
How about, the quantity is excessive, and is it really the quantity, or is it just the fact of the light leak?
It's not the type of glazing, it's the one.
Okay,
Yeah, I think so.
okay, do you want to add anything about,
Well, it's light leak is the reason that the glazing is excessive. So we require them
that's
to
what
address that.
that's what I'm pointing out.
Well, it's both. I think aesthetically, it doesn't really, it doesn't address the barn-like quality that they're trying to get to, so it doesn't look like a barn with all that glazing.
Well, I think
And then it also creates problems with the light. So I think both are true.
okay, so does the first sentence describe how a barn, this would be excessive glazing for a barn? Does that get the quantity there? And then,
Why don't you just say reduce the amount of glazing instead of the quantity of glazing is excessive?
okay,
Reduce the amount of glazing.
but I agree with Alan, it should say what the main concern is, because that's,
For aesthetics and lightly. For compatibility. Aesthetics of compatibility and lightly.
how about this? Reduce the amount of glazing to in alignment with the applicant's stated style.
To better align.
Okay, I will do that.
But it's also to protect the night sky.
Hold on, that's a separate comment.
Stated design intent. Stated design intent, and then.
Yes. Okay, no, just take that out, and to end with intent, make another comment, and we'll address the lighting there, the lantern effect. So I think there should be, because we did specifically say that, so we need to say what we mean here with regard to the north, I believe it's the north and the south elevations were mentioned. The north and the south are the most egregious, but so is the west, where it's facing the other property. But I'm mostly concerned with it.
We'll just make a statement that covers all of it. I don't think we got it.
Okay, so, do you want to take a crack at the light trespass as what we were talking about? Words for Nicole?
The amount of glazing will produce excessive light trespass.
As proposed, the amount of glazing. Yes, Alan?
Well, in the previous one, you said reduce the amount of glazing that are aligned with the applicant's stated design intent. And this one, I would my humble opinion is I would put, it's correct that the amount of glazing will give you light statement. My suggestion would be here is I would ask them, how are they going to mitigate that?
Applicant needs to.
Right, if, the applicant needs to show us how they're going to mitigate it. I wouldn't really.
I'll just say mitigate, lightweight or lighthouse effect.
Right.
So
That's all.
can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I just politely want to remind you that this is not a rediscussion of the item. It should be,
Exactly.
what did you already say? And is
Yep.
this capturing that? And I think we're veering into a
Yes, we are.
re-review of the project.
Gotten off track. Can somebody come up with a comment? Alan, you had something, you want to say it, and then
I
it
think.
captures what we said?
Well, this does it.
Yeah, I think this does, yeah. You can say it 85 ways, this one doesn't.
Okay.
Fine. Yeah.
I think instead of the applicant can move forward, I would say prepare a stored pole plan and install stored poles for a site visit. When returning to the board. When next returning to the board.
Or say, story poles will be required.
It just says install. I think that's pretty direct. And that's exactly what I said.
And a straightforward plan.
Yes, the 6 outside corners of the structure and ridgeline of the roof monitor should be marked with story poles.
That's what we said.
Actually, we said 1-story pole. You could take the S off. And I think,
Well, you're saying the 6 outside corners and the monitor should be marked with story poles.
okay,
Multiple.
So that's.
okay, got it. Did we miss anything in the discussion? We talked about the location.
The site. I like talking about the site.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay. Then let's,
I'm concerned that we don't have something about, but it's not just their proposed intent about the glazing, it's also the light trespass. We don't want to see it. So much.
how about number 3?
Light trespass must be mitigated, or a stronger statement about that.
All right,
Well, we discussed having them show us, if I remember correctly, having them show us how they're going to mitigate it.
And it says result in excessive
Yeah, I'm okay
light
with that.
response.
Right, but that doesn't give them any, in my opinion, that does, now I read it again. You know, I came up with it, it doesn't really give them any direction. Like, you know,
Well, we can't have excessive.
just say
It's
reduce,
up to them to figure out. how to do that.
reduce or mitigate. Reduce the light trespass. That was fine.
yeah,
Yes.
Because that's direction. That's
We
direction.
didn't ask them to mitigate it. We.
No, that's why I changed it. So
Well,
it's
they
fine.
could just say, then what if they come back and say, well, we reduced it? We reduced it. At what point?
They need to reduce it to a
That's
level
not what we
that
said.
they need to just reduce it to a level that you find acceptable, or you won't,
Yeah.
or you'll still find it excessive.
All right, scroll down.
to an acceptable level, hasn't it? I'll take pictures of it.
So where's that one again? Okay, can you go back to it one more time, please?
Back to number 3 there.
Number 3. What if we just say, result in excessive light trespass, which must be addressed? Must be reduced, must be addressed.
That's good.
Okay,
And then
just
you're
reduce.
leaving it open.
Yep. Okay, and then you can get reduced lights, that, yeah, that can go up. All right, perfect, yeah. Now let's go on to the next one.
Okay.
Okay, this is the, this is the, this one.
Those are short.
Yep,
Would you also make comments about not being compatible with the area?
it's what's right there,
It says,
number
unable to
2.
make findings for approval, due to the size,
I
approval
think-
of this design, due to the size,
I think that should be,
And-
size should be height.
due to the height. I never said that, and light trespass from the light trespass, I wouldn't say from the home. But I would take that out. And inability to make findings for neighborhood compatibility. I don't know that I said height.
No, but we talked about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because in the first one.
That's good.
Okay.
That's fine, okay.
Yeah, okay. that's good.
Scroll down.
Should be a period.
I'm not worried about punctuation right now. I want to get content.
Robin will catch that later.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, no, Nicole will catch it.
Continued, that was continued conceptual, right?
Yes,
Okay. All right, next. This was the,
this
the
was,
little pool,
the
the pool house.
yeah, low. I think, the first comment should say that this is basically a glass box, and that the you could put glass box in quotes, but that's okay.
One
And
corner, sure.
and concerned, and so say reduce, study a reduction, no, they just need to reduce the light trespass. It's the same thing as the comment above.
And I don't know, I mean, it isn't an entire glass box, it has that one corner. And then there were a lot of other windows, but it's that one corner that was a glass box.
Okay.
With the two roll-up garage doors.
So just, I don't
The
care
portion,
what you say.
maybe say the portion. What?
Does it matter if it's a glass box?
Why don't we just leave that?
You're concerned,
the whole
right? You're concerned and you want it
Yeah.
reduced. It doesn't matter what it.
Right.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Exactly.
You want, should I just get rid of this?
Yeah, just take it out.
Yeah,
Remember, leave it on this, it's fine.
yeah,
Reduce the primary glazing.
right, right.
Well, they kept the
And I would
glazing,
say-
they will reduce the light trespass.
If you scroll up, Nicole, scroll up.
One sec.
No, don't type yet. Just scroll up for me, please. One more.
Oh, you want to look at that?
You want to capture some.
Just keep scrolling up. I want number 1. Whoa,
Number 3, you want on that
whoa, scroll down. Number 1's comments.
one. Number 3.
Number 3,
Copy and paste.
copy and paste. And then you can replace number 2 with that, or number 1 with that. Yes, thank you. Okay, that's basically what we
And I
said.
would say consider lowering,
That's in there.
well, instead of dropping down. lower.
Okay,
Consider lowering height. Yes.
Did we actually do that as a board? I don't, how many people actually thought that? Isn't that the comment that I made, that we should poll the board and see how many people actually thought that? Okay.
That was the
I'm
light.
mistaken. I thought it's on the road. Okay.
That was a different project.
It was a comment,
Well,
it says consider.
right, but one of the things I'd like to discuss, because the kids go fast, is if I make a comment, I don't like X, and I'm the only one, should that actually be in the minutes? Should that be a word? Right, well, I think that, let's go on now, but I think at some point we need to discuss that.
Okay.
Yeah, but not now, I'm sorry, I'm going off on tangent.
Okay.
I think it's submit images of the existing home for reference, and then in quotes, you could say to show color and detailing.
And take a given.
You could just say as, end quote, and then it's as the barn color and the material image. Yep, that's fine.
Wait.
You need to learn to read fast. I'm just yanking very fast. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, number 5.
This is the linear one up on the hill, but it's a little ranch shed.
I think that's fine. That was just our action. That was all we had.
It was just that electrical plan, isn't correct? Yeah.
Scroll down, number 6, keep going.
Yeah, so this one,
This one that we're gonna have to work at.
yeah, I wrote it and I was like, I feel like you guys are gonna want it in a different order, and so yeah, please help me.
No worries, you captured the intent, and we'll do the.
What was the purpose of number 1? What was the point we're trying to get across?
That's what she was talking about, that, she's just, these are more of a mnemonic reference, and it's actually in response to the comments that were made about the applicant had said previously that it was clustered and compact, and several people, Cass, Robin, I think Will, talked about the fact that they didn't consider it to be clustered or compact.
Taking issue with their comments. But I don't know if it needs to be here.
Okay.
I don't know if it needs to be here.
Yeah, because there's no direction.
As I also said, that I didn't feel that it was invisible. They made the point that they thought it was invisible, but I don't think it was invisible. But I don't know if it's important.
I think you can take out number 1. That seems to be the consensus.
We could put something in, we did discuss this.
Yes.
That the applicant's description and the board's interpretation seem to be at odds. If you think that's necessary.
We'll come back to that. Let's,
well, it was kind of an overarching statement about the project.
That's why she had it number
which was
1.
That it was not compact and not clustered, and that
What did you say, Alan?
The buildings placed were throughout the site in a uncompact cluster.
Well, in my mind, had they not made the comment, my question would be for myself, would I find the way it is, the way it was presented, objectionable? And in other words, if they didn't say anything about it, if they say it's compact, and I look at it, I say it's not compact, but it looks okay to me. If they had not said it's compact, would I vote against it or say it's
right?
impossible?
So would you have made that comment?
And then I would make the comment. I mean, if I think it's fine, forget about it. If they didn't say anything, and I thought it was spread out, but I thought that was perfectly okay for me, I wouldn't make a comment. I'd say, okay, fine, that's okay.
If it did make a comparison with the property next door,
I
which had a similar circular driveway.
Right.
I think they were responding.
sorry, they did, we asked them to explain the design intent.
Yes, but I think what Alan is directly trying to get to, and what I'm trying to get to is we need to give them direction.
Yeah. Well, let's read everything we have and then come back to that, like you said.
Number one.
We can change the order. Let's get the content.
Well, okay, number one is concerned with the quality of light and the fact that the roof structures, yeah, okay, slope upward and would
Are we okay with the?
Project and exacerbate light. Project and exacerbate light. Yeah.
Okay,
So that's a true statement, right?
we're not, yeah.
What about the two? Bethany, you kind of talked to that one.
Well, my actual comment was, you know, remove the cover and I'm okay.
Yeah, that was one of the items you guys, I think you might need like a tiebreaker discussion on. Or I don't know if there's a tie, but
Well, no.
some of these I want to know if it's
Yeah,
the
no.
will of the whole board or, you know.
I think everybody mentioned the cover, but it was kind of mentioned with the clustering. And I was the only one who threw out the clustering and said, lose the cover.
And I didn't, no one disagreed.
Right, so.
Got it.
Well, Alan, like it.
Here's I made this comment.
Yeah.
It is so unique. And it may not be something I would like, but I didn't find it without, Lowell made a really good comment that everywhere you look, you saw. Which was against, again, their description was different than what Lowell saw, and now when I think of it, that I would, if I looked at it again. Well, I don't want to hold that against them.
Right, I think what we need to do is frame this, the number 2 and number 4 need to be framed as a direction.
How about, well, let's do this then, because it does, in the way it looks, the way we're looking at it, in my eye, the coloring, it sticks out like a sore thumb. Should we not tell them, I don't want to tell them don't have it, but should we not tell them do something to make it blend in more? We talked about that, that was the intent of what we wanted, I thought. Are we against the cover?
Yeah.
Or are we just against the way the cover looks on that property?
Well, and
again, we're getting into a discussion.
Yeah, we're getting into a discussion about the content of the item. So we can't reopen the item. What we need to do is think about what we said and how to give direction.
Well,
and you know,
go ahead, Nicole.
I was just gonna say sometimes things are so conceptual and so far from being approvable that it's not really at a place where you can give them specific direction. Like you've said this before, sometimes you can't give them specific direction. You can tell them what you don't like and they need to come up with a solution and present it to you, you know.
That's not a bad way of, Nicole, that's not a bad way of putting it.
Well, then I think we can leave it the way we have it. The cover of the pathway is concerned and it's not compatible with the surrounding area.
Okay. And then number 4. Okay. And number 3.
Well, 4 is the same as 2.
4 kind of follows on 2. It could be combined.
So let's put those together.
Yep.
So if somebody wants to build a cover around their property, is that something that they have the right to do? It's because we don't like it. And
Well, that's Alan's point.
they say that, you know.
But we can't discuss the item.
Yeah, we're not discussing it, we're just.
I know he's speaking
clarifying what we said.
generalities.
Discussion we had, not now, but I mean. at the
Yeah,
end of
it is
the
a good
day, I think at the end of the
discussion.
meeting, we could talk about that for 2 minutes, or 5 minutes.
Okay, so the last thing was, we didn't address the direction, and we didn't really give them direction. How about this? The board consensus of the board is that the project remains, how about if I say unclustered? And then let's work from that, because, and then,
Well, what about just say, keep it simple, cannot make the findings to support the project as proposed to be compatible with the surrounding area, period.
okay, because it says that
As proposed is not compatible.
So take out given that.
And, you know, this, we're not designing it, it's for them to take this input and come back with something else.
Nicole?
And it's on them to demonstrate.
Support the project as proposed. No, take
No,
that
no, no.
out. As proposed.
Is not compatible.
Yep, take out given that it.
Well, I need to add a because.
Oh, she does need a conjunction. Cannot make the findings to support the project as proposed.
Because, okay, it is not compatible.
Yep.
Okay, and I would make the argument that if we do something like this, we are designing the project.
That's a discussion, that's a
Designed by
discussion. I'm not,
negative,
I understand where you're going, Alan,
Okay.
but not now.
too. Again, oh, okay. You're
So
chicken.
delete this last part.
No, take that out. I would take that out.
Okay,
You
hold
don't-
on a second. Wait. Cass wants to take it out. Is everybody okay with that?
Just keep in mind, I feel like if I was the planner, I would be telling the people, if you can't change it, you need to come back at the next meeting and ask for an approval or a denial, and they might be getting there. So, sorry to bring that up, but that's what I would tell them if I was their planner. If they're not gonna drastically change it, I'd tell them that's what they need to come back and ask for.
That's okay. So, okay, well, we did say with this, it's not compatible.
I
It is
think-
not compatible, it's not a neighborhood compatibility, I guess, and also results in light trespass. Those were the two key issues that we
I
talked
already
about.
had like that's number one.
Okay, well then.
This is,
I put a period in
this is a summation of why we can't make the findings, and I think it should have include everything that contributes to that finding, being unable to make it. And that sets it out for the applicant conclusively, the points that they need to address so that we can make the finding.
Okay, so compatible with character of the surrounding area, which is the neighborhood compatibility.
I think it's just fine the way it is because,
Okay. And then,
And leave in the
and I
clustered.
take out the clustered out.
I think we
I
should
think
leave
it
it
should
in.
stay in, given, and I'm not the one who felt that way, but that's what everybody said.
Cass, who said
It's
it?
not a clustered development. Let me say that.
You said it and I concur.
Yeah, okay, so then.
I think it's fine,
Does the
Well,
project
clustered, and you need a,
no, but that's part of why they couldn't make their findings.
well, I think you should say it's not a clustered development. It's not
Okay.
clustered, it just sounds like, I don't know what.
Yes, incomplete.
Okay,
Or clustered, I would say something else.
Yeah,
but I'm not going to say it.
okay, all right, is this okay?
Okay,
Yes.
we have light is concerned.
May I ask a question? And specifically, and it's not a cluster development, why is that in there?
Because they said it was, when they gave us their description.
No, it's because it's the site planning, it goes to site programming and layout, which is part of why they said they couldn't make their finding.
Yeah, like if you think about all the Hollister Ranch projects that are supposed to be clustered, if this was in Hollister Ranch, it wouldn't pass that measure. I don't know
But
if
it's
that
not.
reference
I
makes
just-
anything.
I understand what you're saying, but
And that, it gets to the compatibility with the surrounding area, because we don't see projects that just have stuff spread out all
Wait a
over.
minute, we just approved one. Zonda project on the.
Okay.
Guys, can we come back to this?
So I think this captures the comments, right? And now we're on to our next
Yes.
unfortunate situation here where it's just continued. So that's not really minutes, but.
Okay, so then the Chumash was there, it wasn't that there was there was no planner. They didn't have the correct drawings.
No, she's changing that. It always lists the planner, and it should say if there isn't a planner, because you could submit your first review in front of the BAR without having a planner inside. You don't have to submit your LUP.
Okay.
So it should say exactly what she's got there.
Yeah. And then do we mention anything about the fact that their plan, they.
No, I think, I have a conflict with.
There's,
so-
you didn't review it and there's no minutes. So there's no notes.
Yeah, these are action minutes, and that's the action.
Yeah, there's only an action, so.
And we don't say not reviewed because the plan.
No.
Okay,
See, I forgot.
all right, thank you.
I make a motion to adjourn.
What time is it?
Well, before we adjourn, may I make a motion at some future meeting? We brought up 2 points today that I think we should discuss for a few minutes at a meeting.
Okay,
Okay, right.
what were the 2 points?
Go ahead.
Well, just because we don't like something on a property, not to say specifically, but if it's the homeowners wish to build something and no one else can see it, do they have the right to build whatever they want, as long as it meets building code requirements? So are we overzealous in our design?
No, you guys are a discretionary review body and your discretion is your opinion. So
That's what.
So
she
yes,
said.
you give your opinion. That's and some projects, either by state law or county requirement, are not subject to your discretionary review, but these projects are. So yes, it is your opinion.
So if we give an opinion and the applicant doesn't like it,
We can request a deny.
They can appeal.
They can deny it, and then it goes to the next discretionary decision maker, which is the county planning commission, and then they become the sort of de novo authority. They take over your role and their role, and they can have a different opinion. And the applicant is given, I mean, quote unquote, it's not really, it's sort of like due process through that whole process to elevate it to another decision maker.
Okay.
Now, are they specifically told that at the time they submit? That they have a right to appeal?
I have no idea, and that's beyond my.
I'm just asking the question of staff. Are they told?
What usually I'd have to, like, in terms of references and like what's included on agendas and postings, I'd have to research that. But usually the process is, as a planner, you can tell, like with the covered pathway one, you can tell when a project is, the applicant's not moving, they're not making design changes, they're not being responsive, and then you would, either you as the BAR would let them know, or me as the planner would say, hey, here are your options at this point. We wouldn't always bring that up at the beginning of a process, because that sort of sets up an unnecessary assumption there's going to be an adversarial experience, and 99% of the time that doesn't happen.
Okay, what was the second thing you wanted to talk about?
I know what it was. I know what it was. If one of the board members says something.
Right.
Then, maybe we need to do a straw poll to be sure that everybody's on board.
Right, because it
So that was the
shouldn't
thing.
be.
So I made the comment that I couldn't support it. So, and everybody said nothing. So that was, silence was consent kind of, but we want to have that be a straw poll that everybody is on board with that, or if there's somebody who's dissenting.
Right.
Generally, what I do is I let everybody have their say. And the silence is not for assent or dissent, it's not your turn. We go to everybody, and I get comments from everybody. And if I see that they're going in a different directions, we've got some dissent, or if I think it's going that way, I'll say, what does everybody think about this issue? And I did, I asked, what does everybody think about the cover?
Going back to what Lowell said, nobody can see a project.
It's not,
But what I want to say about that is, regardless, we need to be consistent. And I think that's something that is really, we would be looked at if we were really inconsistent. And so I think our consistency is really an important aspect of this committee.
Right, that particular project is so inconsistent with anything we've seen.
well,
That's where-
let's not go down on that particular project, okay? What I would say is that, whether it can be seen or not is not a part of our review. Nowhere in their guidelines or findings does it say that.
Right.
So that's not something we have to decide.
Correct.
Well, then why do we have hillside ridgeline ordinances that force a project to go to BAO?
That's the way the Board of Supervisors set up the BAR review.
Special concern because it is definitely used from everywhere. So other places, maybe in a hollow or something like that, but they could be, maybe they can't be seen right now, but maybe down the future, somebody might build. There's an integrity to the built environment that we're here to address.
Well, we can talk about a hollow, but we had that one, I remember 3-4 months ago, where there was a hollow that was white with black trim. And we didn't want the other buildings to be white with black trim. And nobody could see it from anywhere.
But what I'm saying is that it doesn't matter because it's the integrity of the built environment that we're responsible to address. And, we don't know how it will develop in the future. We don't know what might happen down the road. So that's just our job, is to be sure that, do our best to guide projects in ways that will, be compatible.
And hillside ridgeline isn't the only trigger for the BAR review.
I just use that as an example.
Yeah.
I would also like to go on record that it's because of Bethany's great running of this meeting that we're out of here at 12:02.
Yeah, that was a.
So I think Lowell made a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I second.
Second with Robin, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. We are adjourned. Okay.
Bye, thank you.
Thanks, Nicole.
Bye, everybody.
Have a good one.
Is there a bathroom down